You just call me Paul. Paul. Oh my. Oh, is it me? Oh my goodness. Stress. Yes. Oh boy. This is what stress is like. I wonder what stress means like to you. Well, stress means a lot of different things to a lot of people. And now there's one aspect of stress I'm going to have to get used to, and that is to catch my breath back. Good afternoon, all of you. Thanks for joining us again on a nice afternoon, lunchtime, and thanks for taking the time off. I'm glad you're here. I hope there'll be a little bit of dessert with the lunch you can take back today. Anyway, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to start talking. I just want to recap a little bit about what we talked about last week on mental hygiene very, very quickly, because it is recorded and you can avail of the recording and you can have a look at the notes. But I want you to bear that in mind when we talk about various things today. So one of the things we're going to do now is we're going to move on to some of the slides, okay? We'll take a break in between very quickly, and we'll try and move on as quickly as we can, because so much we want to share about stress. There's so many things that we have to put right about stress. There are a lot of myths about stress, a lot of wrong impressions and misunderstandings about stress. So we need to understand that. The other thing you all have to remember is that there are various kinds of stress. Please remember, stress is not always bad. Just like I said the other day, the word worry itself as a psychological notion can be a motivator. It's neither good nor bad. It's what you make it out to be. And so is stress. In fact, I would dare say that the psychological entity of stress is actually more positive than negative. So here we are now moving on to stress. Here are the slides. Please take note of the slides and come back to it, write to us, keep in touch. This is me, as you notice. And like I said, I'm an avid dive master. I really enjoy diving. I take a lot of people there. And you won't believe it, I will allude to diving a little bit when I talk about stress. And that's because of how diving for me is a stress reliever. And I'll tell you why it applies very well to me. Now moving on. Oopsie daisy. Yes. Stress. Don't forget, this slide reminds you that stress comes in all kinds of forms, all different shapes, sizes. It comes in the form of the weather. It can come in the form of politics, finances. It can come in the form of, oh, blessed their souls, mother-in-laws, children, your pets, your work, the MCO. Stress comes in all forms. Big kind of stresses, tiny, itsy-weetsy, tiny little stresses there. And sometimes we're so good after such a long lifespan of living with some big stress like that blue fellow over there and the dark, big black chap down there. You know, we cope with them somehow or other. We live and survive, and we champion things like cancer and the death of a loved one, going to jail, you know, things like that. But having a flat tire at the wrong time of the day, under the wrong circumstances, that can actually break the camel's back per se. So it's important for us to think about how stress affects us and in what circumstances. We're just moving on. Now, these are pictures I've downloaded from the internet and Google. Stress is very subjective. It happens to everybody. There's only one kind of person who doesn't have stress, and that's the dead person. Anyone who's alive, even the newborn infant, undergoes some stress processes to keep the body in balance. The acid and the bases are kept in balance due to very different kinds of stress feedback. Sleep, no sleep, pain, discomfort, the pampers getting dirty, noises, all kinds of. So babies, adults, old folk, everyone has some kind of stress. So this picture just tells you stress can affect us all very, very differently. And it's Don't let anyone ever say, Alama, your stress is nothing compared to mine lah. Please remember, your stress is your stress. Don't let anyone laugh at it or put you down or make your stress smaller than what it really means to you. We can put it into perspective. The professional can help you put it into perspective, put it into very functional senses, and help you problem solve. But your stress is your stress. We have to respect your stress. I have to respect your stress. Most importantly, you must respect it, and you must not take it for granted. The earlier you recognize it, the better it is, because stress can, as they say, like a cancer, grow, and it'll overtake you before you know it. The last slide is when you go up in a puff of smoke where nothing exists any longer and you transform into being somebody else. Very often, unfortunately, this ends up in what we call psychopathology, which means you develop a psychological dis-ease or a psychological problem, maybe needing psychiatric medication and things like that. But hey, boys and girls, we are nowhere near that. We're talking about the early indicators of stress, which nobody really needs if it's going to cause you a problem. Right. Now, these are some of the ideas, noise, don't run, money problems, girlfriend problems, pressure of all kinds of things. So these are the kinds of things that bug us all the time. Demands, challenges, all kinds. And then there's a word there called more and more. Do now. And one of the blessings about working from home during this period is that people suggest we've got control over our time. But the irony is that sometimes we don't, because you're on back and call all the time, basically. And the answer is now, quickly, because you have a computer. That's a joke in itself. But time is a stressful thing too. So remember, everybody is under some form of stress, and there's never a time when neither you nor I nor anyone around us can imagine the kind of stress one another is under. Remember that. It'll save your relationship, it'll save you, it'll save your life, and it'll improve quality of life for everybody if you remember that one fact. This was a slide I used last week. It's a very interesting slide. And I like the slide because of the kind of words it uses, because we think our brains work all the time, but just like a car or a washing machine or a fridge or an aircon or a fan, things break down. Of course, the body and the brain doesn't break down. What breaks down is the function of it, or the smooth function of it. And that is one of the things we have to remember. If you can remember, do you remember when you feel as though your brain broke down and it couldn't work? Well, those are early indications of stress. That's another sign of stress. Please look up these various ideas of stress. Words will jump out at you. Don't wait till it's too late. This is a slide I'd like you to focus on. I've rearranged it from last week. Look at the numbers, my friends. Just look at the numbers. The important thing here is that from 1996 to 2015, numbers of mental health problems have increased nearly 3 times. 3 times in this country. And even then, this is old data. The new data isn't out yet. And I'm very, very concerned that, given not just because of this challenge we've had, but times are so stressful for all of us, things probably have gone up 5 times, 10 times. The number of calls and people inquiring for psychological and professional help has gone up 50%, 140% in some cases. Look at the female-male distribution. Let's not go into an academic discussion there, but that's 30% as compared to 27, 30% as well. Now, guys, this is no joke. It says 3 in 10 adults, but in reality, it's like 4 in 5 people are having some form of distress. Distress, not the good stress. They are having problems and dysfunction, and there is some disruption to their lives and their basic productivity in life. This is the next slide to tell you that even children are suffering. Now, what I said last week was, don't forget, today's children are tomorrow's adults, and tomorrow's adults are tomorrow's parents, parents to a new generation of children. 13% of children are having problems according to these stats. Don't forget, it says here 32% of children are suffering from peer problems. Nearly 20% conduct problems. Why are the kids having so many problems? They're growing up in the primary environment that is not conducive to actually helping them resolve or live happily, live in a very dynamically smooth, facilitative way. I don't know what's happening. All I can see is the end product. The outcome is not a happy outcome. We've got to start changing it. Take mental health seriously. Although they say it's going to overtake cardiac illnesses by the year 2020, it's far overtaken that. It's gone way beyond that. People are having cardiac illnesses also because of mental health problems. So the cart before the horse before the cart, the chicken and the egg. I don't know what's happening, but it is not national priority. Who cares about politics? It should be your priority. Prevent. And let's look at stress today as a preventive measure. More stats and wonderful statements that come up only during election time. We're going to solve mental health problems. We're going to solve all the stress problems. Here we have our fantastic leader, Mr. Leelam Thai, who says, wow, a lot of mental health problems are due to stress. Yeah, so what? We know that. What are we going to do about stress? Forget what they're going to do. My question to you is, what are you going to do after listening to what I have to share with you today? You might agree with me, you may not agree with me, but I've been around for 37 years as a professional, and I'm seeing this consistency that is not changing. Those who change it are definitely enjoying a better quality of life. They're flourishing, they're thriving. All kinds of wonderful things are happening. They're having stress too. They're surviving. They're championing life. Ooh la la, that's amazing. And you could be one of them if you start taking the step. Remember this, mental hygiene? Well, we have to start thinking about our mental health. And one of the best places to start thinking about mental health, of course, is to start understanding this thing called stress. It gives you a good platform to start with. And of course, from there, you can move on to breaking down this platform into the other little ingredients that need focusing. So here we go. We're going to be looking at some habits, some functions of how our body works through this mental process of being hygienic or losing its disinfectant state. Stress! You can't run away from this. It's there all the time, all the time. It's around us. It's there. It's here. It's you. It's me. It's all over the place. And when people ask me about stress management, I don't like the word management. Not many of us like the word management anyway, do we? Joke to all the managers. No, we love you guys. But you don't really manage stress. You live with it. You learn to live with stress effectively. So how effectively are you living with stress? And here are some hints. To learn to live effectively with stress, you will have to start understanding what it is about first. Another diagram to show that the mind is losing its composition. It's losing its composure. It's losing its idea or the whole formative aspect about what the mind is. You know, many people don't know what the mind is. We just know that it's a fantastic process that deals with all kinds of feelings, all kinds of fact, how you feel, act, and think. It deals with so many things. So we're going to talk about some of those things today. Stress again. Who's calling my name? You want it now? I can't cope with it. I can't cope with it. And if I can't cope with it, what happens is I'll get sick. I'll have a mental breakdown. I die. I feel helpless. I feel hopeless. And people lose in their relationships, lose in their life living factor abilities. Oh boy, we lose out on life just because we misunderstand and fail to live with stress. What is stress? Frasla, tak boleh tahan lah. Cannot sleep, la. What is stress? Do you really know what stress is? We use it so flippantly. We use it so easily. I don't like the word stress in the sense that stress is just a word that we use all the time whenever there is a problem or something that we can't cope with. It's a very good word, but the way you use it has to be specific. It is a technical word. So be careful how you use it. For you all today, I would like you all to start using stress in what I call a definite way. Define stress, make it functional. I am stressed. What does it mean? I'm stressed because I know I'm stressed because I can't sleep. Oh, is that the case? Why can't you sleep? When can't you sleep? What is it preventing you from doing? Oh, I'm stressed because I keep forgetting things these days. Oh, really? Let's make it functional and definitional. So always remember, okay, be it a child who's got limited vocabulary, be it your grandmother, your father, your wife, your friend, anybody, yourself. If you're going to use the word stress, define it in functional terms. Some of the best mental health experts don't use terms and leave them hanging like putting you into a box with a label. Develop a functional analysis, a task analysis of what a term should mean or must mean to you personally. So when you use the word stress, functionally define what you mean by stress. And you know what? A lot of my clients who come to see me think they're going to see me for a long, long time. But very often the sessions take a very, very quick duration because we're able to functionally define stress, and it becomes so clear. Oh, this is what it really is. And they're able to deal with it given their past experience, their past strengths, and their motivation to learn new skills. So it can be quite amazing once you define functionally. Very important point, guys. Define stress functionally. Remember this? If you're going to talk about stress, always remember it is not a single entity. It ends up with a function, a functional analysis, a functional dysfunction of sorts, but there is a biological component to the human being, there's a psychological component, there's a social component, and of course, there is a spiritual component. Now, these components are all important because you are a living human being and you're behaving. You are always acting things out, you're doing things. Now, moving on to stress itself. Who is vulnerable to stress? Do you think that psychologists are not vulnerable to stress? Oh boy, I've just suffered 2 heart attacks. I've got ailing kidneys. I've got growing kids. Times are bad for all of us. I'm getting older. Parents are getting older. My car has been stolen in the past twice. Well, I'm under stress too. I'm sure you're under stress. I'm sure some of you are under worse stress. Some of you have lost dear ones in this whole trauma going on. Some of you have lost your jobs. Oh boy, we can't compare. Who is vulnerable? We all are. We are all vulnerable to stress. And that's what will become of us if we don't start living with it effectively. Understanding what stress is, how it functions, how it produces dysfunction, that's what we can avoid because we are all vulnerable. The whole family is. And the more we live together, the more it can add to it or the more it can help us live effectively with stress. What are your stresses? Now, if you look up the computers, look up the websites, they'll tell you various sources of stress. These are some of the sources. Of course, the biggest word there is called others, right? Culturally, internationally, there are others. But this is for you. You're listening to this message now. Do you know what the stresses are of children? Any idea what stresses your children are under? Guess? I'll show it to you. This is what it is. Doesn't it look familiar? It's the same. It's the same. Different intensity, different depth, different forms. They've got personal stresses. They've got domestic stresses. One of their biggest domestic stresses is you. You're the primary environment. Maybe good, maybe bad. But they've got work stress, friend stress. They've got everything the same. Don't forget, we're all going through a lifespan. Similar things are happening to us at different stages of the lifespan, with different things happening to our bodies, all happening at the same time. So let's not make the mistake of saying, this is child stuff, like you'll get over it, like young man, forget it. I have been there before. Haven't you been told that before too? But I tell you what, when you're under stress, it is stressful. Some of you feel like dying. The number of times I felt I was going to die, sometimes I felt I might die. Oh boy, and the choice of death was sometimes overhanging all of this, saying, I can't take it anymore. But boy, oh boy, I've lived effectively with stress, and I'm looking forward to it because it is a good thing to live with. It keeps you alive if you can live with it effectively and understand it. A reminder of where you might be now. This is what your age range and morphology may look like. Don't forget where you've been. My dear friends, don't ever forget. Please remember where you've been, where you've come from, because your past is a very strong aspect of your skills, your strengths, and this wonderful word we keep throwing around now called resilience. Everyone's talking about resiliency, and trust me, this word is going to die off in a few years because it's a fad now. This word has been around for ages. It's just that we've given it a new term and we're putting a new brand on it. But living with stress, stress management, work-life balance, these have been around a long, long time. The problem is we have ignored it. And now we need to remind ourselves with new vocabulary and new side effects and problems that arise from it. That's the biggest problem. We're going to come up with new words, new kinds of issues, but the ultimate dysfunctional outcome will still be there unless you do something about it. Oh, we're losing our mind again. Now, it's funny, isn't it? If you keep looking up all the artwork on the mind and losing one's mind and being under stress, there is so much of it, so many beautiful pieces of art that speak from the heart and speak from the mind, how we are under stress. Why is that? You know why? Because it's a reality. No running away from it. Remember fat? We are all about fat, how we feel, act, and think, the biopsychosocial aspect of things. But there are two other things. One is life. The other thing is we live in an environment that constantly provokes us, or in another sense, stimulates us. Now we're going to understand the factors involved in stress. Now this is the model of stress I want to introduce you to. This is it, an interesting model. Some of you who've attended my workshops would have seen this model before. What this model means, it's got arrows with two heads. It means one affects the other all the time. Do you get it? Now, there are only 5 factors. This is the simplest, most effective model of stress I can introduce to you as a beginner in this journey of understanding and living effectively with stress. And that is 5 factors, but these 5 factors interact. Let's assume that we have a stimulus. A stimulus, very often assumed to be an external event. It could be one of a million things, one at a time, or even happening at the same time. Okay, it could be anything. You could run off a list that you have right at the moment. Anything at all that trigger your response. Now somebody calls me, "Hey, Bodo, stupid." What? He called me stupid. But even before I can take time to think, I reach out and I slap the guy. I behave in a certain way. Or I might reach out and I might even insult the guy. Hold on a minute. What happens in between is that I am thinking about it. Hey, why the heck did he call me stupid? And I'm getting very upset because I don't understand and he's wrong in doing so. Okay, then let me slap him. Get it? So, idiot, bang. Idiot, you're a big idiot. Get it? Everyone used to think that this was the normal human response. Well, this was what it was before. We discovered that there are other factors that actually work in between. None of these factors work if you're not alive, and that's your physiology. Now, if someone calls you, hey, you're a real bloody fool, how can you use such bad words on me, man? Hey, I'm your friend, and you're so lucky. I don't know how you won the lottery. La. What a bloody lucky fool you are. You're my friend. You see, I'm thinking differently, right? Because I think differently. My adrenaline hasn't gone up. I didn't get angry. And so I said, thank you, la friend. Come, belanja you makan. Let's go and go to a movie together. Hey, brilliant, because I thought differently. Get it? And because my adrenaline didn't rush, because my blood pressure stayed low, because my body functioned differently. But if I was lacking sleep, if my pressure was high, if I have diabetes and I'm something else is out of control, and someone uses a foul phrase like bloody or idiot or insults me, my body is going to react. And because my body reacts separately, I'm going to behave differently as well. Do you get that too? So at least these 5 things work. But there's one more element in that formula of FAT. It's called how you feel, your emotional reactions. Now, these, my friends, are 5 factors that take place all the time whenever you have stress. Do you understand? Get this very clear. It is the most simplistic, probably quite unscientific, because I haven't given it all that meat and scientific relevance to it, but it's real. It's a very, very good model. There are other endocrine models that fit in here. They'll all fit under the physiology and how your body functions. There are other aspects of how you think and perceive. There are other aspects of behavior. So many things come in. But these 5 factors happen all the time. And don't forget, these external factors are not always external. They could be internal. Sometimes you are sitting at home, relaxing, and then you have this memory of a wonderful grandma who died recently, and you start crying, and then you don't feel like eating, and you feel sad, and your body can't sleep tonight. All these 5 factors take place because of an internal event, a memory. So the trigger, the stimulus, doesn't necessarily always have to be external. It doesn't always have to be the boss. It could be you. It doesn't have to be the child. It could be your behavior. Maybe it's not the traffic jam. Maybe it is your watch that you're not obeying because you didn't wake up to the alarm. It is yours. You are the stimulus, not the external traffic jam. That is what we call secondary. That is what we call a functional analysis of the trigger, or this thing called stress. Now, do you know how these things work? I'll show you how they work, because it's a very interesting issue here, that 4 of these components are all inside you. Cognitive processes is how your mind works. Behavior is your choice. Emotions are your emotions. It is your body reactions. It's your diabetes and your high blood pressure. It is your mental capacity, not mine. I can call you fool. I can say something bad to you, but it is your body, not mine. So please remember, what you see in that cylinder of green are 4 factors minimum that are yours. They are working internally with you. Okay. Now remember this, whatever happens, these 4 factors are yours. It is not how somebody else thinks. It is not how my boss thinks. I don't care what he thinks. My stress is due to the fact that I am thinking in a certain way, given whatever he said. I am thinking and reacting in a certain way, given the MCO. I am reacting. My body is not sleeping. I am choosing certain behavior. Remember that point. These 4 factors, at least these 4, are your factors. Now, an important thing to remember is to see how some of these factors work together. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an example of how this works. Now, for me to show you this example, I will have to go stop the slide sharing, come back to it in a minute. Here we are again. Welcome back. Thanks for staying with me. Now, what you see are 5 factors working. You see me presenting myself and I'm the stimulus. Hi, that's me, Paul Jambu, saying hi to you. Hi, this is Paul J. And you're thinking, that's Paul J. Boy, he looks good now, doesn't he? Thank you for that. Then you're thinking about, there's some emotion running in your mind. Your body is sitting down. You're probably eating or munching something. Your body is working. You're probably in neutral gear. You may be upset, angry, maybe sleepy, maybe tired. Maybe your hair is falling off just now because of things I'm saying. And you're doing something. Your body is acting. You're working out. But this is about to change because I'm going to change the stimulus. Now, this is the stimulus. Ta-da! Hi. Apa macam? How are you feeling, man? Hello? Get it? I don't know how you're reacting now, but something's happening to you. Get it or not? The stimulus has changed just by this. Your senses have perceived something else. It has changed. You're thinking now, oh, this is the psychologist. He just spoiled my lunch. Oh, my goodness. And you laughed, maybe. Maybe you thought something different. You are certainly saying something different. That's behavior. Now, can you see these 5 factors working? They're all working because the stimulus changed and there was a knock-on effect. Now, you are behaving in a certain way. Your friend is behaving in a certain way. Somebody is saying something else now. Each one is behaving differently because these 4 internal factors behave differently. Now, that's one aspect of things. Let me show you another way. Now, you know how quickly that worked, huh? Now, let me show you how quickly this works. Ta-da! Wow! Woohoo! Get that? Did you realize how quickly that worked, my friends? Instantaneously. So quick, in milliseconds, what happened was the stimulus affected the way you thought, the way your body reacts, the kind of feelings you had, and the kind of behavioral reaction you had. Now, that's how stress works. Stress works so quickly. It's amazing. It's happening right now as I talk, as I wave my hands, as you perceive me. It is so multisensorial, plus with some extra sensory perceptive aspects. ESP, have you heard of ESP? The joke is ESP also sometimes refers to extra stupid personality. I got a lot of that, trust me. Anyway, let's go back to the slides. See you in a moment. There we are. Hi again. Now, to show you how quickly they worked. Now, this is just my hand and my fingers on the mouse telling you how quickly they worked. Did you get that? Did you see how it works? Bang, 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 bang. Milliseconds. How a stimulus can affect your body, how your body can affect your behavior, how your body and behavior can affect your emotions, how your emotions can affect how you think. We don't know what comes first, but things work instantaneously. The way we need to live effectively with stress is to slow down these processes. Slow down your reactions. Identify the functional analysis of what's affecting what and how, to what extent, to what depth, to what relevance. Now, once you do this, you will then start getting a grip on things. And if you'd like to call it management, brilliant. This is not a dog or an animal or a seal or a dolphin that needs training. No. You learn to live with this because you coexist and you're conditioned very nicely. You're conditioned together. So remember, bang, 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 bang. It happens instantaneously. Try not to misunderstand or take this for granted. Things happen quickly. You will not understand it. Your responsibility to yourself is to say, I need to slow this down. I need to understand this. I don't know why I have the skin rash now. I don't know why I'm developing a headache and a back pain. Oh boy, all these 5 could be involved in this process, but 4, 100%, because all these 4 are internal. A summary of what I just said: the stressor or the stimuli could be both internal or external. I'd like to think very often it is internal because of my perception of things. Your thoughts, your body, your emotions, your behavior. Guess what? Stress is primarily internal process. You know the good news? Fantastic good news. It means stress is under your control. Your control. It only becomes the doctor's responsibility or the psychologist or mental health specialist's responsibility when you lose control, when you become a statistical deviant, when it causes you distress, when you become a danger to yourself or others, and it causes dysfunction. Don't wait till it's too late. Do it psychophylactically. Prevent it. Go for an estimate. Go for screening now. You don't have to be mad, sad, bad, or anything like that. Please go and get yourself sussed out. See if you're on the right track. See if things are going okay for you. Are you functional? Maybe I need a bit of tuning here, tuning there. Don't, if you don't do it now, you'll be paying for the consequences in a far more expensive way, not necessarily in terms of a coffin. Worse, you'll be the living dead, causing a dreadful process for a lot of other people and function around you. Again, a review of the literature, but again, what it shows you is that there are very many external causes and many internal causes of stress. I just listed this down. It's cut and paste from the internet, and some of it can be even more for you because I'm going to there's more added to this list, and that's why I've added the word etc. Much more. Human beings and their lives aren't just limited to this. There are far more causes of stress, but it's not one cause. There could be multiple causes. You know, if I can run the example, if I can share the metaphor of a nice dish, there is never one ingredient in a dish. There are always several ingredients in a dish, and many ingredients can actually make it look wrong and disguise the strength and beauty of other ingredients. So the etc. matters. Signs and symptoms. Now, remember those 4 factors I gave you? How you think, how your body reacts physically, how you feel, your emotions, and finally, how you behave. These 4 columns I'm about to show you are various symptoms that indicate that you might be having some forms of stress. So please have a look at this. Please have a good look at it. You don't have to mark it, but if you came to a professional, if you come to us, we'll give you a series of analyses where we will look at combination effects of how some of these things can actually be showing you signs and symptoms of, maybe I need to start doing something else or start thinking differently, or maybe my combination of recipes should change. So bear this in mind. These are some very common signs and symptoms of stress, which may involve things like anxiety, things like even phobias, things like dysfunction, inability to perform normally in so many different ways. So bear in mind, there we have physical symptoms and health symptoms. You know, there are many diseases that are called psychosomatic diseases. They're diseases that are caused of the body because of the mind. The mind and the brain controls so much of the body, almost all of the body's functions, and it controls all of this so much so that it keeps it very healthy or extremely sad and extremely sick to the point of death. So please look after this mind of yours, look after this brain. It's a wonderful body. That is what you should be living with effectively. For you to maintain balance, these are some of the what strategies suggested by many people. We talked about it last week, but I'd like to tell you that no one size fits all. So yes, we talked about how the signs and symptoms of stress. We talked about the kinds of causes of stress. Wonderful. But how do we actually rectify it? How do we live with it? One thing you must remember, it is subjective. Your 4 factors or 4+1 are very special to you. It is your concoction, your special cocktail, your recipe. Hardly ever the same. Similar concepts, but different combination. Now remember this, it is yours, no one size fits all. I say that again and again because there are people selling all kinds of products on the market, all kinds of products, from psychotherapy, from psychoanalysis, from tablets, from vitamins, from traditional medicines, from Western medicines, from all kinds of stuff they sell you and say, this works. And what's even better, your best friends, they really mean well. They mean well. Take this, it works for me. It may not work for you. It might make it worse because your stress is very specific to you, your lifespan, your particular stage in life, your special things that are happening to your mind that no one is aware of. So please, whatever stress management strategy you use, be careful. They all work for different aspects of those 5 factors, but be careful because no one size fits all, etc. Remember, there is so much more to stress than what you just think it is. Now, stress is dynamic. Yesterday's stress is different from today. Your mind changes, your spirituality changes, circumstances change. The way you felt in March and April when the MCO came down hard, your friends were in ICU. This kind of stress I felt when I was rushed off to be checked out urgently whether I had the virus. Oh boy, that stress I had then was amazing, but it has changed today. And it is my stress, the kind of stress my family felt because of that, the kind of stress my work felt because of that. Oh boy, stress changes. The medicines, the strategies that you employ to look after your stress must change accordingly. It must evolve. It must be up with the times because you are changing. You are dynamic. So remember that too. It's not just your vitamin C, your vitamin B complex, or your particular high fever that's going to solve all your stress. That's good for your body. Ask our Dr. Rajbans, who'll tell you what's really good for your body and how that will reduce your stress. Yes, but you've got to ask our sports doctor too, who'll tell you the kind of exercise that'll be good for your stress. You've got to talk to the psychologist. Come and talk to moi. I'll tell you how this needs to be in fine tune. Oh boy, there's so much to stress that you need to functionally break down so that you're specific, subjective, dynamic, etc. Never forget that word. There is more to stress than you think. Do not oversimplify it. Perhaps the best place to start, like I said last week, is this journey. Become more and more self-aware. Please, my dear friends, please become more self-aware of the kind of processes happening in your mind, your triggers, the stimuli, what's causing what feeling, what emotion you're having, how is your body reacting, is your body sleeping, is your body digesting, is your body eliminating, is your body reacting? So much to look at, but don't put mental health on the back burner. Mental health should be right at the forefront from day one. Start with that first, and you'll see it reflects a whole bunch of other knock-on effects that will tell you whether you're doing the right thing or not. I want to introduce you to a word here. It's a fantastic word. The son tells the dad, "Dad, it's deep, Dad, it's deep." Dad said, "No, it's not. I'm looking for a word here. Some of you already know that word." One person looks at this and another one looks the same thing and says, 4, no, 3. Both are right. Get that? I'm sure you do. Both are right. Remember this one. I remember this little story being told to us when I was a little kid. Amazing story. Unfortunately, they extol the virtues about people being blind. Mainly, that was the story I was left with. There was something else more important that is far more relevant today. What's the word I'm looking for from all these little cartoon clips that I've shown you so far? Look at this. A man on an island sees a boat. Boat! Wow! Finally! The guy on the boat looks at the island and says, wow, land, land, thank God there's land, amazing. What's the word I'm looking for? The word I'm looking for is perspective. That's an important consideration when you want to live with stress. Perhaps anything in life. What's your perspective? What's your take on things? How do you develop a wider perspective? How deep a perspective do you have? We all need assistance. And like I suggested, seek out wise and professional assistance. Be careful who you look at, who you talk to, who you meet with, but perspective on your stress, your idea, your functional analysis and functional definition of stress will lead you on the proper path of problem solving in whatever you're dealing with, especially stress. Now, please look this up. I've put here YouTube, Kelly McGonigal. This is one of the best articles of stress I've learned over the many, many years as a clinical psychologist. And it has opened my eyes fantastically. Beautiful research, 30,000 participants, and over 8 years. There's no joke. Well published, well researched, and well accepted. She suggests, now this is on YouTube, so please avail of it. Go to it tonight as soon as you can. High levels of stress are associated with nearly 50% increased risk of death. Associated, meaning there is some kind of link, but only if people believed. Perception, cognition, your understanding of the stress process, only if they believed stress was bad for you. There you go. If you believe stress is bad, it's going to have a negative effect. And you know how that's been the case with friends? If you believe wrongly a person is bad, oh boy, that's it, story over, gone. If you believe a certain car is bad, that's it, you'll hate the car for life. If you believe a certain housing area is bad, that's it. Once we believe something, it's so hard to shake. You know, it's really, really bad to prove, really difficult to prove that you wrongly believed something and that you have to take responsibility for it. So stress is very often misunderstood. I would say 90% plus, and I hate statistics, but it is so badly misunderstood. And you know what? Because people are so afraid of stress, they avoid stress. They go through so many. They take it so far. They go to such extents to avoid stress that all that endeavor kills them. They avoid stress, and in avoiding stress, in eating and sleeping differently, in doing things, they actually end up shortening their lives. That's really odd, isn't it? But she suggests, she and her team found out that there are some very important ways by which we can actually live effectively with stress if we change our perception. Apart from the flight or fight theory, we either stay and fight or we run away from stress. These are the two normal theories that have held water for a long, long time. There are a few other theories that we should think about. We can choose our responses. A few other strategies we can think about. We can choose our responses to stress. And that is possible only if we slow down those interconnecting processes. How we behave, how we think, how we feel, how our body reacts. Instead of our body being this hot super reactor of getting angry very quickly, or not enough sleep and therefore the adrenaline rush is too much, or not enough food or health, not enough vitamins for the brain. Oh boy, if we can slow these things down, we can make proper choices. And the best thing is, the choices are all possible and they can be taught at a young age. Some of the workshops I run are for people as young as in primary school, for them to start choosing between the strategies of living effectively with stress. These are, number one, treat stress as a challenge, not as a curse, not as a demon visiting you unexpectedly or because you are punished by the spirits, by the heavenly bodies. Stress can become a stimulator, a motivator. A challenge is. 2, treat it as an opportunity to tend and befriend. social support, pro-social behavior. Reach out and ask. Do you know the person who says, help, I don't know enough, help, I need a bit of help, they are in a far better mental state than someone who denies the fact that they actually need help. So please remember that. It's the greatest sign of adapting to a challenge when you actually say, I think I need help. I think. I may not, but at least I think so, and I want to do something about it. And finally, learn from the past. I keep telling you, don't forget. Don't forget. Learn from the past, learn new skills, and move on. 3 things Kelly McGonigal has suggested. Very good researcher. It has been produced and reproduced in so many different ways. These are some of the strategies we teach. If any of you are looking for a tablet to take away your stress that you're under today, forget it. It doesn't exist. A tablet will put you to sleep. A heavy drink will get you into a fierce mental and emotional state. Running and kicking a football hard or playing some tiring sport will give your body a challenge. Doing a crossword puzzle will take your mind off things. Being mindful, mindfulness practice does not cure all. I teach mindfulness, a very special way of being mindful. It'll help you slow down and clarify your thinking, but it doesn't take away the traffic jam. Playing sport does not take away your exams. Having a good night's sleep does not take away someone who's insulting you every day. These things help you live effectively with the 4 or 5 factors that compose you in such a way where you become very efficient in the way you deal with yourself and then with anything else that comes your way. Men are disturbed not by things, not by the traffic jams, not by the MCO. They are disturbed by their perception of these things. This was by a fantastic philosopher even as early as the 1st century AD. Even as early as that, this clarity had come to the human mind before they were even met with all kinds of challenges. Amazing stuff. This is a model I'd like you to quickly take a snapshot of and have a look at it. There are 3 models here. One is the 5 life tasks, which are broken down into a further set of life tasks that are far more functional for you to follow every day. The other one is a proposition by a scientist, a psychologist called Craig Hazard. He's from Monash University, based in Melbourne, and he talks about these factors that can help you maintain some of these factors so that your body works well, your mind works well. And of course, one of the other latest things, I mean, it's been around for ages, but suddenly it's taken on this huge glamour called mindfulness, this, mindfulness that. Mindfulness is actually paying attention to your mind, how it works, slowing it down, being clear, and they teach you some very good strategies. It's a fantastic skill to develop if you can develop it. Take your time. It's on YouTube. The best person to listen to on YouTube is a scientist called John Kabat-Zinn. Take your time, follow his ideas, and he'll talk you through the whole process. But no one system fits all. It'll not take away the traffic jam. It'll not take away exam anxiety. You need to have a very good combination of this. Now let's look at the 5 life tasks. Here, these are 12 subtasks that if you look at them one by one, they are skills that you can practice every day that will address 4 or even 5 of these factors that will compose your response to stress, how your body works. They're all fantastic fantastic skills that have arisen out of research, out of feedback from clients and people who have suffered, survived, and championing stress. I champion stress. I'm not just a stress survivor. I talk about stress in a very positive way. I want people to be under different kinds of stress as a challenge so that they grow, so that they develop new skills, and they're not just sitting in comfort zones where nothing ever happens to them. They're going to be caught off guard and fall off the cliff when the time comes for them to learn to fly or float or even be buoyant in life. So think about these things. Think about spirituality. Think about relevance as well. Don't forget this. This is a reminder that we're all progressing mentally. Remember that we all are aging as well, physically, psychologically, socially. Remember this model, huh? Never forget this. But if we were to take this model and put it throughout our lifespan, you will see that at any age, at least these four factors, plus the possibility of an internal or external stimulus, affects us all the time. And with each age, with each lifespan, we are bringing forward memories of the past into these various factors. We're carrying on memories throughout our lives, and that forms the way we react and live with stress. So becoming aware of yourself, becoming aware of these five factors is a crucial first step, perhaps the main step for you to start living effectively with stress. Do something about it. Perhaps the best thing to do is to take control. And to take control over your physical health is the easiest thing to do. Go and see a doctor, get yourself screened out, and deal with that. The second easiest thing to do is go and get yourself psychologically screened. At least some cobweb, at least some excess baggage, but do it regularly. Do it now. Get a reading. And in 6 months or a year, take another reading and see how things have improved. Hopefully. If not, you'll see how things have not improved or how you have developed as a person. Don't forget that we're all growing up with these factors every day. Today is different from tomorrow. I say, please remember that stress is different for all of us. We have all kinds of different stress management techniques. We have therapies, we have spas, we have things like letting go, we have people who say things like take it easy. We read wonderful, motivating words in the morning. They are all good. They all mean well. But remember, no one size fits all. So try again, experiment with other stuff. Be very, very careful about what you consume because it could kill you. It could cause a lot of physical distress. It could threaten your life and your existence. On the other hand, it could be worse because it could disrupt your mental balance as well. So be educated about what you're going to try to help you live effectively with stress. Think about it, talk about it, read up about it, understand it. But just because Mr. A tried it and it worked for him, it doesn't mean it'll work for you. This is just to extol the virtue, to stress the virtue that managing stress or living with stress is your way. You have to find a way and build on the way that worked yesterday, build on the way that is working today, and develop a strategy on how you anticipate dealing with your stress tomorrow. Guys, we're all different. Stand out clearly and be different. There is no harm in being different. It is wonderful. It is the beauty about being a human being. You are different. Your stresses are different. They are what define you. They are what that makes you so special and appreciated because you're different. Remember that. And remember that take pride in being different. Do not compare yourself with somebody else. And more importantly, do not compare your stresses with somebody else. It doesn't make you feel better or be better in any which way. It'll only make you feel worse and more incapacitated so that you'll not be effective with yourself. You will not be able to live with yourself. Please take this step. Find out who you really are. I like the word self-awareness, and this time the background is in green because we're talking about regeneration, regen. It's all about making a new difference and reinvigorating yourself. Go for it, guys. Only you can make the choice. Remember the wholesomeness of being a person, the four factors. How? Here's how. Go for a screening. Go for a brain checkup. Your brain is of vital importance. There is a wonderful book that you can buy off the shelf called Brain Rules, as in RULELS, Brain Rules by a scientist called John Medina. It's an affordable book, simple, quick reading. It's about how to keep the brain healthy. Brain. And we are a brain hospital here. How to keep your brain healthy, how to prevent stuff, how to heal stuff, and along with that, of course, psychological screening and mental well-being. You know, there are things like quality of life, domains of life and effectiveness, work-life balance, your function and dysfunction, occupational stress inventories, so many important things. Be careful who you go to and what kind of test you do. Don't simply test. Do a screening for a right reason and for a right outcome. These are first steps you can take to start living effectively with stress. These are your qualifiers. If you came to see me, these are questions I will ask you. Have you set time aside? Are you serious about doing this? Are you reading? You're not going to be spoon-fed, not with Paul J. You're not going to be spoon-fed by any psychologist worth their weight in salt. You'll have to do the work because it is you. These 4 factors is you. And in this case, the stimulus, the motivation is you. Do something about your mental health. Don't be an armchair guy. Do something about it. And you know what? You've got to work on this. Your toolkit. What have you got in there to survive the next MCO? Those days, the question was, what have you got in there to survive the next tsunami? Tsunami's come and gone. Now MCO, are you ready for another lockdown? What skills have you developed? Are you ready to lose your job? Are you ready to live together in a pressure cooker again? To work from home again? Are you ready? What steps are you taking? What new skills do you want to learn? Think about that too. You just can't go to a shop to buy these tools, you know. These tools are what we call soft skills, things you have to work on specifically, subjectively, dynamically, along your human lifespan, etc. We love changing people's lives, don't we? We always say, oh, come, I help you change. I pray for you, you pray for me. No, God will bless us. Great stuff. We love changing people's lives. But you know, one thing you have to do, you got to start changing your life. Please look this up on the internet. It's called 10 Ways to Build Resilience. It's not necessarily resilience, but 10 ways to actually live effectively. It's by the American Psychological Association. It's available on the net. There are 10 simple steps, only 10 simple steps. There's a lot more, but 10 easy steps. But these steps all begin with verbs. Can you see that? They all begin with verbs. Maintain, avoid, take, look, keep, take care. Can you see that? It means you have to do something about it, my friends. Just reading this is not going to improve your life. Becoming aware will, but you have to do something about it. So start moving. Start moving now. Yes, we have to change. We have to value change in our lives. That's why you are here. I'm so happy for you. That's why we are here to help you if you want to help yourselves. Change takes courage. And if today's the day you're going to start, please start today. Always ready, only when you are ready. Remember this, that the mind is full of stuff. Please challenge your values, become aware of them, check your attitudes, check all the kinds of information you get. And by all means, please become more and more aware of your expectations, your perception of things. So here's wishing you a functional definition of what you call stress, what you perceive to be stress, and wishing you all as much fun living with stress as I do, because it's coming, it's here, it's not going anywhere. Your perception will change. I will, you will, we all will. So let's have fun living with stress. Bye for now. Take care.